You're welcome. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. This, I believe, is our fourth shiur in Shaar Habitachon, the gates of trust and faith in Hashem from Baal Chovot HaLevavot. We are in the middle of the Peticha, in the middle of the introduction. Believe it or not, we haven't actually started Shaar Habitachon yet. We're still in the intro to Shaar Habitachon, but we're learning so much from just the introduction. So let's just recap a little bit of what we spoke about last time that we learned, and we'll take it from there. The Chovot HaLevavot is discussing an idea comparing the person who has trust and faith in Hashem in a practical way to an alchemist, a person who has the ability to take a non-silver and gold metal, for example, tin, copper, and to convert it into silver and gold. And you would think that such an individual has basically hit the jackpot. The guy has it made. He has the ability to make the most precious metals out of non-precious metals. It's going to take certain effort, certain work for him to do that. But you would think that this guy really is doing extremely well, Baruch Hashem. I don't think I started recording. Yeah, I did. Okay. So the idea, Rabotai, the Chovot HaLevavot is telling us, no, that's really far from truth. There are all kinds of things that this alchemist has to worry about, whereas the person who trusts in Hashem, pure bitachon in Hashem, does not have to worry about these things. So last time he had discussed the idea that this alchemist needs to have raw materials. He has to have certain things that are there to help him prepare it. If he doesn't have them, then he won't be able to do anything. Whereas a person that earns his parnasah, so to say, while having bitachon in Hashem, he understands that he doesn't need anything really. His trust in Hashem is so strong that no matter where he is, no matter what his circumstances are, there's nothing that is preventing Hashem from sustaining him. That was his first point. The second point that he made was that there is a lot that needs to be done in terms of effort, in terms of work, in terms of energy exerted in producing that which he needs to produce. And sometimes he will not be able to relax and have tranquility in his life because of all of that effort that he needs to go through. Whereas the person who has bitachon doesn't have that same frustration or same amount of stress involved in his work. We're going to talk a lot about that soon. But those are the 2 points that he started off comparing the alchemist to the person who has bitachon. So now we're going to start with the third benefit that the Baal Habitachon has over the alchemist. So that's where we're starting from tonight. Okay? If anybody has the book, we're in Shaar Habitachon Peticha, Hayitron Hashlishi. And I do recommend, if you guys get a chance to actually get your hands on the book itself and go through it, it's really worthwhile. Okay. Remember, we spoke about the idea that the malach, the angel, told the Bet Yosef, the angel that the Magid Misharim, that the Bet Yosef wrote down everything he told him. The angel told the Bet Yosef, learn Chovot HaLevavot. Doesn't get much better than that, Okay, so let's do this. Hayitron Hashlishi, the third benefit that the Baal Habitachon has over this alchemist. Sheomana ki mikayinu noten emun ba'achirim. This what we're going to talk about now is so important. It's so fundamental. I'm very excited to share this with you. Okay, Omana chimika. Okay, eino noten emun ba'achirim. He does not put his trust in others. Legalot lahem et sod umanuto. He knows he's got proprietary information. He can't share it with anybody, because if he does, then they'll take his business, they'll take his secrets, he'll be out of business, they'll copy him, they'll take his livelihood, and he's done. So he's got a trademark, or he's got to go through a patent, or whatever it may be that he needs in order to make sure that nobody is able to touch his livelihood. He can't just tell people, when you go to a restaurant and they make a nice, dish for you, you can't just say, what's the recipe? They don't give you the recipe. They say, we don't give out that recipe, the secret sauce. We don't do that, right? Because that's our moneymaker. You come to us for that secret sauce, right? So therefore, they will withhold that from you. So the Baal Habitachon says the Chovot HaLevavot, Ilu habotech be'elokim, somebody who is a person who trusts in Hashem. לא רק שאין הוא מפחד מאף אדם בביטחון שלו, not only is he not scared of any person because of his faith and trust in Hashem, אלא הוא עוד מתפאר בו, but rather he is glorified through it. כמו שאמר דוד המלך עליו השלום, באלוקים בטחתי. David HaMelech said clearly, in Hashem I trust, lo ira, I'm not afraid. מה יעשה לי אדם? What can man do to me? Meaning, what am I scared of? I'm scared that if I reveal my secret recipe to these people, that now I'll be out of business? Really? Hashem doesn't have a way of giving me parnasah if I give over my secret recipe for my, blueberry muffins? It doesn't, it's not how it works. I want to drill this message into all of our ears, our minds, our brains. It's so critical. It's so important what we're talking about right now. It's life-changing. It's life-altering. It's really important. Really important. Seriously important. I really think you guys have to understand the significance of what we're learning about over here. A person that has bitachon is not scared. He's not afraid that somebody else is going to come and knock him out. He's just not scared. He's not. He could care less. Yeah, you have a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like such a thing, I feel like, with like Persians or like all Sfaradim about like Ayin Hara.
Yeah.
Don't say, don't do, whatever it is. So how does that like fit in there?
That's a good question. But let's say this. Let's say this. We have a lot other areas to work on when it comes to not work, Ayin Hara. Put it that way. You understand? I mean to say that Ayin Hara is a real thing. But before we worry about, you'll get what I'm saying in a moment. Okay, you'll understand what I'm saying. Let's put it this way. There's a story with the Chavetz Chaim. Okay, the Chafetz Chaim was really not making much money at all. When he had enough money for his family, he had a makolet, he had a kiosk, a little shop, grocery store, and he made enough money for the day. He would close up. He really didn't have much money at all, and believe it or not, somebody opened a store across the street from him. Competition for the Chavetz Chaim. Now, this man already has very little as is. But here's competition. You'd think Chavetz Chaim, he's got little, to begin with. Now he's got to deal with this guy. The story goes that the great HaKohen HaGadol Me'echav, the Chafetz Chaim, the great Kohen, the leader of Klal Yisrael, went over to this fellow who opened up a store across the street from him and started explaining to him, where's the best supplier for milk? Where's the best supplier for eggs? How can you get this? How can you get that? What's going to be the best thing to help this fellow and his store? It's an amazing thing. What do you mean? But he's literally selling the same stuff as you. So doesn't this hurt you? Yeah, but if you think in terms of, simple world people. But a person that understands that all of this parnasah that we're worried about is just a facade, meaning my actual sustenance comes from Hashem, decreed on Rosh Hashanah, decreed on Yom Kippur, that I'm going to have X amount per year, and that's going to come to me whether I like it or not. That's what Hashem decreed. And that's the reason that I have what I have, period. And nobody can take that away from me. Chazal tell us Masechet Beitzah daf tet zayin, כל מזונותיו של אדם קצובים לו מראש השנה ועד יום הכיפורים, חוץ מהוצאת שבתות והוצאת יום טוב והוצאת בניו לתלמוד תורה. Everything that a person will make is set for him from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. It's decreed for the whole year, with the exception of Shabbat, what he spends, Yom Tov, what he spends, and his tuition for his children. There's a special bank account for that. They say that's Rashi Tevot Tishrei, Talmud Torah, Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tov is all set aside. That's got nothing to do with your regular finances. Your regular finances are established in the beginning of the year, and that's the end of that. Whatever Hashem decided, that's what comes to you. Now, you're worried about this fellow, that he's going to come, and he's going to take your business, and he's going to knock you out, and you'll be left with nothing. Chazal tell us, Masechet Yoma daf lamed chet, En Adam nogea b'muchan lachavero. No man can take away from that which is prepared for his fellow, afilu kimlo nima. Even a hairbreadth, cannot be taken away from you. If it's meant to come to you, it's meant to come to you. That means you have nothing to worry about. And that means that if this guy is opening up across the street from you exactly what you do, you have no fear, you have no worries, you have absolutely no issue in your life. Now again, this is a level of Habitachon. It's not the easiest thing to actually do. I'm not saying it's easy. But the bottom line is that if you have real bitachon and you really understand how this works, you could care less. Yes?
On the same token, isn't there some kind of, not sure if it's a halacha or a rule that, let's say a burger place comes to a certain street. Isn't there a rule that you shouldn't open another burger place close by?
So it depends. That's a good question. It's a very good question. There are rules about that. The first rule to know about that is that if you're a member of the community, then it's fine. Meaning, if you live here, you can compete here. The question that comes out is if you're coming from, let's say, a different community, then there's what to talk about. That's number one. Number two, well,
part of the same community.
yeah, but why does he have the right to open up the pizza place and I don't have the right to open it? What does he have more than me?
About rights.
It's not about the who's first. Right, that's what I would think.
No, it's about I'm a member of this community just as much as he is. So I have every right to open up a business. If I feel like I am okay in this business, I have the right to open up a business. So that I'm saying that's halachically. Yeah, if you're from the community, if you're what's called a ben mata, you're a member of this city, you can open up a competing business. Now there's another type of scenario, which is where the Gemara talks about where you're blocking people from coming to this guy that used to have traffic. For example, his place is all the way down at the end of the alley, and you open up at the top of the alley, so people no longer go down the block like so that you're choking the guy. So you can't do that either. There are certain things that you can't do. Similar story with the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish was approached by somebody. This was at the time Bnei Brak was a very small village, and it was just taking off. And the Chazon Ish was approached by somebody that wanted to open up a Sefarim store, a store that sold Sifrei Kodesh. There was only one other place that did at the time, and he approached the Chazon Ish. He asked him about this exact question. He said, "Can I do it, or is that called hasagat gevul? Am I taking over his territory? Am I not supposed to do that?" So the Chazon Ish said, "You don't know the guy who owns the Svarim store. Let me take you to introduce you to him." So he took him. He introduced him to this guy, and he said, "This guy has so much bitachon that he just could care less that this guy was going to open up another Svarim store." He blessed him and he wished him atzlacha, and everything was good. The reason that I'm talking about this subject is because it's so critical. It's so critical because it makes all the difference in the world how we view these life situations. Certain people, unfortunately, don't handle these situations well at all. at all. They handle these situations extremely poorly because of a failure in the area of bitachon. And they do things that are horrifying. They will speak lashon hara about the other person. They'll say, this guy, if let's say I'm talking about my competition, he knows how to make shoes. He makes pizza. He's a bar mitzvah teacher. He doesn't know anything. And you start to knock this guy. That's an organization. They do this. And you start to belittle them and besmirch them and all kinds of things. Why? Because you're trying to prop yourself up and survive. Keep your head above water. Right? That's the whole story over here. So people will do things. It gets much worse. It gets much worse, Rabotai. Sometimes people will stab you in the back and betray you out of fear that they will lose if you come into the picture. It hurts so bad. It's terrible. It's the worst thing. But if a person has bitachon, if he really, really had bitachon, that guy would have no problem with you and what you're doing, and he would be just fine. And he would be very happy that you, Be'ezrat Hashem, should be successful because he has no fear that it will encroach on his success even slightly. You should know this Chazal by heart, Rabotai. Know this. En adam nogea b'muchan lachavero afilu kimlo nima. A person cannot take away a hairbreadth from you. If it's prepared for you, it comes to you. This, by the way, the beautiful explanation I saw from Rabbi Shalom Arush, I believe it's in the Garden of Emunah. He says a very nice pshat. He says this is what Chazal mean when we say in Birkat HaMazon, whenever you eat bread, afterwards you say Birkat HaMazon. So you say there, Rachamanu yifarnesenu bechavod velo b'bizui, right? Hashem, the merciful one, should give us parnasah with kavod, with honor, right? Beheter velo be'isur, in a permissible way and not in a forbidden way. This is what we say in Birkat HaMazon. What's the pshat in a permissible way, not in a forbidden way? Because what you're going to get is the same amount no matter what. It's the same exact amount that Hashem decided Rosh Hashanah, you're getting X. Now, it's upon you to figure out, how do you want to get it? Do you want to get it beheter? You want to get it in the permissible way? You want to get it beisur? You want to get it in the not permissible way? How do you want it? But that's up to you. But it's the same number no matter what. Nothing's going to change. That's what was decided on Rosh Hashanah. So it's a critical factor here to understand that why should I be afraid of this person? Why should I be scared? Again, I understand it's easier said than done. This guy opens up competition right across the street from you. This guy does this or she does that, whatever, and you see, my customers are leaving. My customers are going to this person now. They were buying me for 20 years, and now they're going to her. How dare she? How could she? She saw this, she saw that. And you have a whole list of names you want to call this person. But at the same time, you also have to remember, it's min hashamayim. Maybe she has something to think about. Should she have done that? Maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe it's not the nicest of things what she did. And she might have to speak to Hashem about that afterwards. But on your end, what are you nervous about? You understand? That's a very important thing to think about. I think that's critical. That's a life-altering perception that helps a person to get through everything. And that will help a person to not lie and cheat in business. How many stories, unfortunately, do we hear of people that fail in this area? You make up with somebody a certain amount, and all of a sudden they snub you, they don't give you the same amount. Why? Because you think that by keeping a little bit more in your pocket, you're going to gain more. It's a mistake. You don't need to speak lashon hara about the other person. So a person who has real bitachon, he's not scared, he's not worried, he's not nervous, and he can move on and have full faith in Hashem. That if I woke up today, that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has whatever I need for today. Are you guys, you're absorbing what I'm telling you or no? But it's incredibly important. It's incredibly important. I can't even. It's so important to understand that because so many people fail in that. So many people fail in this area. So many people, they unfortunately succumb to these practices of not being honest in business, of talking badly about their competition, of being nervous about their competition. Why? So this guy has another store. Okay. Okay. What does that have to do with you? It's got nothing to do with you. We have to train ourselves to think like that. Okay, let's go on to the fourth. So that's the third benefit that the Bala Bitachon has over the alchemist. The alchemist doesn't have that ability to be so confident because he's saying it depends on what I do. And if I let these people, take my trademark, take my patent, so then I'm done, I'm finished. Yeah.
So, okay, if it's like, let's say within a community, there is only a certain amount of like business, like let's say someone's like selling paper,
Mm-hmm.
like they're not gonna be double made for paper, like what, like there still is like a piece of it that, like it makes a lot of sense, but there is like what, then Hashem just gonna make more of a need for paper? Like Yanni, like I don't get it.
Here's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter. That's the thing that we have to understand. We think, you see, the key is to understand Parnasa is one thing. Work is something else. Meaning, your Parnasa comes to you because Hashem decreed that it comes to you. But Hashem happened to decree something else upon humanity as well, which is Bezeat apecha tochal lechem. By the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. But it's no different. Chacham ben Tzina Bashul says it gives a nice mashal. He says it's like a train that has a beginning and it has an end destination, and you have no control over where it goes, how fast it goes, anything of that sort. All you can do is buy a ticket to the train. So the work that you do, says Chacham ben Zion, alav shalom, is the purchasing of the ticket. You bought the ticket to get on the train. Now, where the train goes, how fast the train goes, when it reaches the destination, that's got nothing to do with you. You're not the conductor of that. So if I decided that the best thing for me is to sell paper, and that's what I do, so then I sell paper. Now, that's my ticket to the train. Little do I know that there's a great, great uncle that had a cousin somewhere that doesn't have any descendants that just happened to die and left me $50 million, right? How do I access those $50 million? Because I sell paper. You understand? It's got nothing to do, the Parnasa has nothing to do with the work that I do. Again, I'm describing a concept that is hard for us to digest because we don't see it like that. We say, oh, this guy's a doctor. Okay, so that's X amount of dollars. This guy is a lawyer. That's X amount of dollars. This guy is a whatever. That's whatever, right? He's an accountant. We think of it in terms of that. But in reality, that's not what it really is. Parnasa is decreed min hashamayim. I mean, again, I'm on the receiving end of these things. I can tell you there are certain doctors that are in debt to their knees or to their waist in hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And whatever. There are certain people that have, big buildings, and they can't. They're like selling their wives' jewelry in order to like pay certain things. I mean, I'm telling there are certain you see certain things, So the point I'm trying to make is Parnasa has nothing to do with the work that you do. In true hashkafa, the work that you do is the ticket to the train. And then what happens with the train, that's something else. Yeah.
It's also a concept that Hashem conceals things in nature, like that he'll make it seem as if, let's say, a doctor makes more money, so that you could think that it's nature. Meaning,
for sure, it's all part of the. It's all part of.
Still has been for them that they were going to get.
No, it's all part of our nisayon to see beyond the hester panim. We live in a world of hester panim, of Hashem hiding.
But I'm saying physically they're getting more money, technically.
You're saying, how come that
I
guy?
mean, the nature that happens
Yeah.
also plays out and that those people get more money, let's say.
Mm-hmm. So that's okay. But you have to remember that there's so many details into why did that happen? How did that happen? Oh, because this guy, he moved to, these doctors are telling me now that lawyers are owning their practices and they're taking so much of their money, all kinds of things that are going on, so how come this guy just so happened to invest in this and just so happened to do that? And then boom, Baruch Hashem, it worked out. You know what? I was going to say this later, but I'll tell it to you now. Remember what the Pasuk says in Parashat Ekev, I believe. Pasuk says, V'ram levavecha. One of the key things we have to remember is to not ever become arrogant. V'ram levavecha. Hashem says, God forbid, you'll become haughty, you'll become arrogant. V'shachachta et Hashem elokecha. You'll forget Hashem, your God. You'll say, V'amarta kochi ve'otzim yadi, that my strength and the might of my arm did for me this great thing. That's what you're going to say to yourself. And then what does the Pasuk say? God forbid. You should remember, that, right? Right? You have to remember that Hashem is the one that gives you the strength to do all that you do. Says Targum Unklus. I was going to say it later, but might as well talk about it now. Targum Unklus on that pasuk says, which we believe that Unklus is also Mehar Sinai. Arei hu yehav lach eitza lemiknei nichsin. What does it mean? Ki hu hanoten lecha koach la'asot chayil. That Hashem is the one that gives you the strength to do wondrous things, to do great things. Arei hu yehav lach eitza. You have to ask yourself, why did I buy that building? Why did I purchase that asset, whatever it may be? Why did I do this? How come I invested in that? Ki hu hanoten lecha, right? Arehu yahiv lach. He's the one who gave you etza, the thought in your mind, lemikne nichsin, to purchase that building, to purchase that asset that will do well for you. He's the one who told you to invest in this and invest in that, etc. And that's why you have what you have. It didn't just come from nowhere. It came because the Kadosh Baruch Hu put that in your mind. So a lot of doctors are struggling with this and that, but this guy, Baruch Hashem, managed to wiggle out of it and do this and that, and it worked. Who advised him to do that? Who gave him the thought to do that? That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a very important thing to realize. Hashem guides our minds in certain directions so that certain outcomes will take place. For one person, he does it this way. For another person, he does it that way. I'm going to talk about this actually in the next piece over here. So anyway, what I'm trying to just express is that Parnasah is one thing. Work, unfortunately, is a klala. We read in Parashat Bereshit last week. It's a curse that Hashem put upon Adam in order for him to, unfortunately, go through that and then get his Parnasah. But what he does is not the reason for his Parnasah. The reason for his Parnasah is that on Rosh Hashanah it was decreed he's going to have X amount of Parnasah. And as hard as it is to digest that, but when you truly believe that, it's a very liberating feeling. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got to do with whatever Hashem wants. Because that's a good question. In reality, the answer to that is you don't need to. And who was the one who didn't? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai.
Should come to the class.
Right? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the one who proved that in reality, there is no need really to show up to work. However, the problem is that most of us, as already the Gemara says, although many people tried to do what he did, they failed. And most of us are not on the level that we're able to handle that in our brains. We're not able to really live like that. And because we're not on that level actually in Bitachon, we don't end up getting it in reality. So if I'm on the level of Shimon Bar Yochai, that's true. I could sit and learn Torah in a cave for 13 years and I'll be good. But if I'm not, it's not going to work for me. Because in order for it to actually work, you have to actually be on the level where you sincerely believe that this is what's happening. You understand? That's part of how this works. You have to actually believe that this is true. And it takes a lot of work to get to that point. Are we good? Are we clear or no? We're happy or not? We're not happy?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I feel like this applies to all areas. not
Of
just
course.
financial.
Of course.
So, yeah,
It applies to all areas of life. I'm just giving it financially as an example. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at the next one. Hayitron harevi'i, the fourth benefit that this fellow who has bitachon has over the alchemist who can take tin and aluminum and turn it into gold and silver is the following. She'oman hakimika be'echrech oseh achat mishte ele. He has one of two, he has to choose one of two options. Either he's going to make a lot for himself, he's going to turn a lot of tin and aluminum into silver and gold, כדי שיהיה מוכן בידו לעת הצורך, so that he has it available whenever he needs, או שהוא מכין ממנו רק מעט, or he only will prepare a little bit, כדי צורכו לזמן קצר, just whatever he needs for a short period of time. Now, why would he choose one over the other? Well, they both have their, pros and cons. The pro is to have a lot available whenever I need. That's great, but the con is people might just take it, steal it. I have to watch over it. I have to put it in some kind of a what's it called, storage somehow. I have to figure out how to protect it, watch over it. It's constantly worrying about what I've got, and I don't know that I always can protect it. That's worry number one. So then what's your other option? Okay, so just make a little bit for the time being, and that way it's safer, and then you don't have to make as much. Okay, but then I constantly have to go back and make more. So that's also an issue that I have to deal with. So either way, says the Baal Chovot HaLevavot, this person is constantly in a state of worry. Either he's worrying about what he has that he shouldn't lose it, or he's worrying about what he does not have, and he has to make more to make sure that he continues to have it. So even though this guy has this genius patent where he's able to do all that he needs to do in order to survive and to have a livelihood, nevertheless, it's still something which brings him a lot of worry. And again, we're going back to the same concept. However, ilu haboteach be'elokim, but the person that has trust in Hashem, bitchono chazak be'elokav, his trust is strong in Hashem. Shefarnes oto kiritzono, that Hashem will give me sustenance according to His will. Bazman sheyirtzeh uvamakom sheyirtzeh, in the place that Hashem decrees for me, and at the time Hashem decrees it for me. Just like when you're a fetus inside of your mother, so it's kind of hard to give you food, so to say. You're entrapped. You're a chick inside of a shell, hard to receive your nourishment. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu plants it already in there from the beginning that this chick should be able to grow and hatch, and this baby should be able to have food. There's no way to give the food from the outside. But just like Hashem takes care of that baby chick, or the smallest ant, even though it's so weak, even though Hashem does that, sometimes you could see that the ants have food that they're carrying. And like the Pasuk says, sometimes the baby cub lions that are so strong and so powerful go for weeks without eating. And they have all the capabilities. So we see this kind of dual thing going on at the same time. You have the weakest getting sustenance. You have the strongest sometimes going for a week or two without getting any food. They're starving, right? And we see Naraiti, we say this in Birkat HaMazon, Naraiti gam zakanti. I was young, I also got old. V'lo ra'iti tzadik ne'ezav. I never saw a tzaddik left alone. V'zaro mevakesh lachem, and his offspring looking for bread. In other words, there's really nothing to worry about. It doesn't make a difference what your situation is. There's really, sincerely, nothing to worry about. A person that has bitachon knows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can take care of him no matter what. If Hashem brought you into this world today, opened up your eyes today, then Hashem is going to sustain you today. And you know that no matter what you do, it's going to be Ratzon Hashem and Ratzon Hashem only. So if Hashem didn't want me to live, then it doesn't make a difference how many billions I have. You know the story with the Baron Rothschild. You remember the story with him? Right? How this fellow, people were saying about him, he might die of disease or all kinds of things, but he's never going to die from hunger. And this fellow who had so much money, one day goes down into his safe to, I guess, check things or count things or whatever, and the safe gets locked from the outside. They had no idea. There were no alarm systems back then. They had no idea the guy was locked in a safe. He was there for days, and he died of hunger. But they noticed that he had, I guess, cut himself or cut himself in a finger, and he wrote in his own blood, "I, the great Baron Rothschild, died of hunger, of starvation." You know, it's the most bizarre thing. That here's of all the people in the world to not have food, it's this gentleman. But again, because we think that whether or not you have food depends on your financial capabilities or whatever. It's got nothing to do with that. It's whether or not Hashem wants you to have food or not. Official Shaar tells over a story about these two partners that were going to a meeting, and it was a day or two after Shavuot. So they had to stop by one of the partners' house to pick up some documents or whatever. So he figures the guy probably has some leftover cheesecake. The guy already walked inside, so his partner from the car texts him, if you have any leftover cheesecake, can you bring some? Because Shavuot ate cheesecake. So the guy comes out and he brings the papers, and he's got 2 pieces of cheesecake. So he said, you saw my text. And he said, what text? He says, what do you mean? I texted you, if you have cheesecake, please bring some. He said, I didn't see your text. I just happened to have cheesecake, so I brought you some cheesecake. In other words, this guy, he's thinking that the reason that I'm getting cheesecake now is because I texted him that he should get cheesecake, that he should bring it. Little does he know, it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants him to eat cheesecake right now. It's hard to put these things into practical life, but that's how it works, it seems to be. Remember, we read in Ha'azinu, Ani amit v'achayeh. I give life, I put to death, and I bring back to life. Machatzti v'ani arpa, I wound, but then I heal. Ve'en miyadi matzil. There is nobody that can save you from me, Hashem says. It's an amazing thing. Who would think that you would ever have a situation in modern day Israel like October 7th? Everybody was sleeping. The whole army, the Air Force, this, that. It's a very difficult thing to digest, even now. What happened? No army, no nothing. We're all talking about how they're so advanced, the military is so advanced. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu shuts your eyes and puts you to sleep, nothing can help you. That's the thing. If you're aware of that and you live your life understanding that it's all Ratzon Hashem, so then there are no questions. Ratzon Hashem was that what should happen is what happened. It was, again, it's sad, it hurts, it's difficult to absorb, but it is what it is. Otherwise, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? The whole place was asleep. It's obviously min hashamayim.
Rabbi,
Yes.
how much should we try to understand situation, like in the realm of Habitachon? Like, for example, maybe justifying is a better word to say. Like, how much should we justify? Like, okay, October 7th, we're talking about October 7th. How much should we say? Like, okay, where, not just like where is God in this, but how do we make sense of it? How do we? Yes, it's always for the good. It's always for the best. But to what extent should we be like? I don't know. There's something, I don't know, I guess it's a question still for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does it make sense?
I totally understand, and it's
How should we search for
the answer is that unless we are, great Kabbalists that see what's going on in the upper realms of Hashem's world, that we'll never know the answer. We'll never know. There's so many tragedies that happen. We just lost 4 boys, yeshiva boys, in a crash the other day. We lost 45 people in Meron, celebrating Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We lost so many wonderful people. I mean, it's like there's so many tragedies that have happened. We lost hundreds of soldiers this year, young kids, dads of families. I mean, like the tragedies are endless. And we say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, how much more do you want us to take? How much more? It's very hard to go through all these things. But at the same time, what we do know is that we go with Habitachon and Hashem, that He knows what He's doing. We don't know what He's doing. Will it help you?
Sometimes, yeah.
I think that if you have somebody that can, again, if you know somebody, for example, a great Kabbalist that can explain to you certain things, so then great. That's great. I don't see any problem with that if he's the real deal. But when there are tragedies, I think the Jewish response is, like it says, Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha, be just pure with Hashem. Say, Hashem, I understand you're trying to wake me up. You're trying to give me a message. You're trying to make me become a better version of myself than I was until now. And it's my job to respond accordingly. And that's how we respond to any tragedy. And it hurts. I'm not trying to say that it takes away the pain. I'm not trying to say that it doesn't hurt. It hurts. It hurts very badly. It's very painful. And we have to go through it. We have to go through it, and we have to respond in the best possible way. Here we are in my shul situation. It's already over a year. We don't have a shul. It's very painful. It is what it is. But we don't just, okay, so that's what it is. No, there's obviously Hashem is trying to tell us something. We have to improve ourselves. We have to become better as a community, etc. We have to do whatever is necessary to make ourselves worthy of having a shul. That's the way I see it. I don't know the answer why HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent us this situation. I don't know. I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. I wish I had an answer, but I don't know. I'm not going to lie to you. So what do? We try to make our situation better by increasing Torah, mitzvot, maasim tovim, and having bitachon in Hashem, that He knows what He's doing. That's the best I could do, at least. I don't know. If you can, I want to go to talk to a really good Kabbalist, honestly. I'm not going to lie to you about that either. But, well, if I get any info, I'll let you know. Yes. Okay. So that, Rabotai, is a very important idea. That it's really, I wrote down for myself over here, how many times you see somebody, he goes and he studies something for a very long time, gets a degree in something, and then he does something totally different. I know an engineer, he's got a degree in engineering, he's doing mortgages. Nothing to do with what he studied. I know an accountant, right? She's a teacher. She's worked that happens to be my wife. She was an accounting firm for 10 years at a very big accounting firm. And now she's a teacher. You studied accounting. Hello? No, that's not, it doesn't make me happy. I want to be a teacher. Okay, very good. I know somebody is a musician selling clothing. Somebody came to the country again. Another accountant sells on Amazon. That's what he does. He sells things on Amazon. Again, we plan a certain thing, and I'm not saying you shouldn't plan. You should do what's necessary to, be comfortable in your mind that you've taken care of what you need for your livelihood. But then again, you have all of a sudden something out of left field. The guy gets into Amazon. He starts to do things on Amazon, even though he spent years becoming an accountant. Okay, no problem. Yes.
But you're saying also because it was not planned.
No, I'm not saying that. That's what I was trying to tell you before. That if you're on a certain level, then that's correct.
So it's all or nothing.
Well, how do you know the
No,
level you're
no. It's not all or nothing. It's not all or nothing. Let me be clear. If you're on a certain level, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, then you really don't need to plan. And wherever you are, whatever your situation may be, you could be literally in a cave for 13 years, and you're going to have a source of parnasah. Doesn't make a difference where you are, what you do. You're so close to Hashem. You have such a knowledge, a real tangible knowledge of Hashem that you know that right now this is going to work for me. Like Rabbi Kaniel ben Dosa, that his daughter said, we were so poor, I don't have money for olive oil, I only have vinegar. So he said, okay, the one who said that oil should light and make fire will make the vinegar light and make fire. And she lit the vinegar, and that was her candle. So if you're on a certain level, then yes. Now, there is no certain level or bottom of the barrel. There's a lot in between.
But the goal is to be in that level, right?
Yes, but we have to be honest with ourselves. The Gemara already says that a lot of people tried to do like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and they were not successful. So each person is on a different level of bitachon. Based on the level of bitachon that you're at, you have to make a decision for yourself. Do I need to put in more effort or do I need to put in less effort? And we spoke about this actually, I think in the last shiur, about how critical of a decision that is. The example that I gave was the spies going into the land of Israel. If you remember, we spoke about the idea that the fact that they sent in those spies before they conquered the land of Israel and did not have the faith in Hashem to just go and do it without sending spies, that was the determining factor for everything. We had Tisha B'Av because of that. They sent them on. They came back with a report on Tisha B'Av. From then on, every year in the desert, Tisha B'Av, people would dig their own graves, and if they came out, great. If not, then they died in their own graves. And then we had Churban Abayit on Tisha B'Av. Why? Too much ishtadlut, too much effort. You're on this high level. You're getting man every day. Clouds are protecting you, washing your clothing. You don't even need to go to the bathroom. You have everything you need. You're super high holy level. For you to do extra effort is the disaster that brings about Tisha B'Av. And you can't do that. That's not okay. So that was a huge mistake, which cost us till this day. Now, on the other hand, if you're not on that level and you just say everything is going to come to me, well, then it's not going to work, because in order for that to work, you actually have to be on that level. So you can't fool yourself. What level are you on? So it's a person's job. If you remember, we also spoke about this with respect to Yosef HaTzadik, asking the cupbearer to mention to Paro that I'm here not for a good reason, right? I wasn't really supposed to be here. So Ki'im Zechartani, he mentioned 2 extra words. Because he said 2 extra words, he got 2 extra years in jail. Really? Because of 2 words? I would have said a lot more. Yeah, because you're not Yosef HaTzadik. If you're Yosef HaTzadik and you live with Hashem and you see Hashem in front of you all the time, your 2 extra words are unnecessary. 2 years in jail, right? You can't do more hishtadlut when you don't need it, when you're on the level where you don't need it. But if you're on the level where you do need it, you must do the hishtadlut, because otherwise you are fooling yourself and it's not for you. You're not there yet. Now, you can climb up the ladder, you can make yourself a better person and have more bitachon in Hashem and reach a level where you need to do less. Yeah, you could. But you have to be honest with what level you're on. It's a very, yeah, you spoke about that, I think, last, okay, yes.
So how do we know what level we're on? I'm sorry if you mentioned this, I'm sorry.
No, we don't, you have to ascertain that yourself. You have to know what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. In other words, there's a person who is like the Chafetz Chaim, like we spoke about before, who is sincerely not scared of helping out his competition. Not helping out his competition. And by the way, I want you guys to know that this still exists till this day. I'll give you an example. I never in my life sold lulavim and etrogim ever. That was not my thing. It's never been my thing. For the last 7 years, I'm doing it. 7 or 8, yeah, since we opened the shul. So, okay, very good. I had nothing to do with this. But a friend of mine, who also does it, literally took me to a supplier, took me to somebody who can get me this, can get me that, and told me how to do it. Now, wait a second, buddy. You're literally bringing competition to yourself in your own city. Why would you do that? I don't care. I have no problem. And he really is on the level of bitachon and Hashem, where he just doesn't care. And Baruch Hashem, I try to, help out others as well when they need stuff and supplies, whatever. Again, the point is, there is such a thing where you're on the level where you have Baruch Hashem bitachon, that everything is going to be just fine, because at the end of the day, this is not what's giving me my parnasa at all. It's Hashem sending it to me. You understand? It's a very important thing to understand. Yeah.
Can you give another example or more examples of people who are, you think, there with like in terms of having an amazing level of bitachon and emunah, whatever.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you another story. Okay, I'll tell you a story. I don't know if I mentioned this story to you or not. Did I talk to you about the story with the guy from Manchester with like 13 kids? No? Okay. Here's a fellow. This is a Kollel student. Bli Ayin Hara, he's sitting and learning in Kollel. And usually the way that it works is, the guy, he has, maybe the family has a couple little kids, 2 or 3 kids. You're not really paying many tuitions yet. If they are, they're kind of small. And, you got 2 or 3 kids. The guy had 4, the guy had 5. Baruch Hashem, the missus had 6, 7, 8, and he's still learning in Kollel. 9, 10 kids. The family is going crazy. The guy's not working. He's bringing in very little. The mother, how much can she do already? She's going to work, but 10 kids, it's a lot of kids. It doesn't stop. 11, 12. I had a friend in yeshiva that he had 15 siblings. So in Hebrew, to say mother, it's M, right? So they called the mom the M16. The mother, 16 kids. This guy had 11, 12, and his family members were begging him, look, you have already 12 kids. You barely are making a living. Come on, enough, no more. And he said, this is between me and my wife, got nothing to do with you guys. And surely enough, they had a 13th kid. Okay. Everybody's going, oh God, what are we going to do now? 13 kids and very little. The guy's sitting and learning Torah the whole day. Hashem should bless him. Unbelievable. But again, this person is a guy that has serious bitachon. Again, you have to know yourself. You have to be on the level. If you're on the level, God bless you. If you're not, it's not for you. 1 second. So, and get to the punchline yet. So one day he gets a letter in the mail. Again, this is a guy in Manchester. So he gets a letter from a judge that he has to appear in court on a certain date. And it's in connection with some non-Jewish guy that the name is there and he's never heard of this person in his life. And he's so confused. Why am I being summoned to court for this person? I don't even know who that is. He says, okay, he's going to go. He shows up to the court on the date. And he says, Your Honor, there must be some mistake. I don't know who this man is. I've got nothing to do with this man. I don't know why I've been brought to the court. So he says, just hold on. And he says, are you so-and-so? He mentions his name. He says, yes. He says, are you the father of this one, this one, this one, that one? He lists the names of all 13 kids. He says, yes. He says, no, so you are the right person and you're in the right place. He says, why? He says, well, this fellow who passed away was a very wealthy man, and he did not have a family. He didn't have a wife. He didn't have children. And in his will, he said that he wants to leave his fortune to the largest family in Manchester. And just like that, Mr. Kollel became a multi-millionaire.
Wife never worked.
His wife did work. She did work. She worked very hard, actually. But it's an amazing thing. Again, I'm not saying that this is the average type of thing to happen to somebody, but that's a true story out of Manchester, UK. It's an amazing thing. So that's an example. I think.
But he basically just did what he was just a follow guy, like
he just kept on learning the Holy Torah all day. Again, I'm not saying that it's for everybody, and I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do for each person. You have to be on the level where you are really sincerely, at that point. By me, I don't know if I want to go to Everfresh and buy sushi, I'm not happy if I'm not getting my sushi. I'm just saying, everybody in their own level. This guy didn't care about sushi. He didn't care about this. He's holding by, I'm learning Torah. Hashem is going to help me. If he really, 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 really sincerely believes that, God bless him. So how do we train ourselves? What's a good method to train our bitachon muscles? So I wanted to share with you an idea. I think it's a very good idea, which is I think that through davening, through tefillah, you really get to train your bitachon muscles a lot. If you pay attention to the words of Psukei de Zimra, you can really work a lot on your bitachon. For example, when you reach the second halukah, when you say the part about Hanoten li behema lachma, Hashem, you give the domesticated animals their bread. Livnei orev asher yikrau, to the ravens that call out, right? Or when you get to the part that says that eshu barad, the fire and the hail, sheleg v'kitor, the snow and the smoke, ruach se'ara, the winds, they're all oseh devaro, they're all fulfilling the will of the Creator. These are things that are reminders. They help you to increase your bitachon. How am I doing on time? Yeah. So I don't want to go overboard, but if we have any questions now, I guess now's a good time. Unless we're done. We're good? Okay. Yeah.
I'm still curious about the whole Einhard thing.
Look. In Great Neck, we don't care about Ayin Hara. I'll put it like that. What? In other words, our community, God bless them, they like to show, very much what they have and how much. You know what I'm saying? It's a very Baruch Hashem. We're not so worried about it. And the Gemara says, interestingly enough, that if you're not worried about Ayin Hara, it doesn't come to you, which is a good thing. So, yeah. So if you're not worried, the best protection against Ayin Hara in general is to be happy with what you have. That's always the rule. If you are what we call sameach bechelko, then no Ayin Hara can touch you. And where do we learn that from? Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik was careful to not benefit from the wife of Potiphar. He was around her constantly, and he would not only did he not touch her, but he didn't even look at her. He refrained from gazing at her in an inappropriate way. And because of that, for generations, it says if you're from the offspring of Yosef, you are not going to be harmed by Ayin Hara. Anam mizarad Yosef ka'atina, telo shalta be'ena bisha. I come from the offspring of Yosef, where Ayin Hara doesn't come at us. That's what the Gemara says about certain rabbis. So the idea, again, being, because a person is happy with what he has, and he does not seek to indulge and be jealous from what other people have, then he's protected or she's protected from all Ayin Hara. That's the best protection that you can give to yourself. That's really the best. Yeah, we're good? Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Chazakim, Bruchim.